Welcome back, everyone, to the Dave Knows Comics live stream. I'm your host, David Lee, and oops, I forgot to adjust a little something. Uh, there we go. All right, much better. Okay, so now welcome back to Dave Knows Comics live stream. I knew that something was off. So we're about to be watching on the watch party my favorite episode of Justice League. One of my favorite episodes in all of the Batman or DC animated universe, that is. Brought to you by Bruce Timm and Once Upon a Time Paul Dini. Paul Dini, I know, left the DCAU at one point in time, but remember when DC did things great? Remember how good DC was once upon a time? Oh, DC Animated Universe, I miss you so much. Never got you quite right ever since. But here we are, so watch party. This is definitely, as I said, my favorite episode of Justice League of any kind. This is also my favorite episode, probably one of my favorite episodes in all of DCAU. So Ron Hawthorne, how you doing? Good. Good to see you. Good to see you. Welcome. Thanks for the like. Now, queue this up on DVD if you got it, or the DC app, wherever you have. I have purchased this digitally, so I already have it, so ready to go. So yeah, DC hasn't been good in 10 years. Yeah, Inigo Montoya, sadly, you got a point there. So I figure, why not revisit one of the absolute best? Rah! The Reflex. My man. Welcome. Thank you for being here. So go ahead and check this episode out wherever you get. I'll give you some time to get it all queued up. I have not pushed play on it yet. I'm sitting here waiting for you. I'll give you guys a couple of minutes. Now, to give you a little bit of a backstory on this one, we're going to be commentating, talking about it. What's interesting about this episode is, even though it's called Epilogue, it's actually not the last episode of Justice League. There's an entire season that takes place after this. The season was good. I definitely liked the season. I didn't like it as much as the first season of Justice League Unlimited. It was still very good, though. But Epilogue, since it's not in chronological order, you can just say it's the final episode anyway, even though it's not. I mean, effectively, it is the final episode, chronologically speaking, so you could always put that down there. Rodder Fleet Reflex, I still want to do something with you, my man. Okay, yeah, you know what? We've got to figure something out for sure. Limited resources, as you know. My whole life has been turned upside down. Don't even know what's going to go on with either of the channels, but yes. Good that you are reaching out to me. I do appreciate it. And who knows? I might be needing a job at some point. Well, no, I need a job, but I've got to figure this out. Anyway, so yeah. Alright, so again, Justice League Unlimited Season 1. The episode is called Epilogue. Queued up now. I have it ready to go. So this is meant to be the last chronological episode of the DC animated universe, meant to wrap it up. And recently they are bringing back the Batman animated series in a way with in terms of the comic books. They're going to be picking up, not at the end. They're actually going to be retelling some stories in the middle, which is actually kind of nice. Okay, so I have the episode ready to go, and we're going to be watching Justice League Epilogue, starting in 3, 2, 1. Okay. So, now I was a huge fan of this entire show, this entire season. So we open with 65 years from now. Batman Beyond, the universe of Batman Beyond, typically starts about 50 years. It's roughly 50 years on whenever now is. It's perpetually 50 years away. And so now, when we see the 65 years, we know this is 15 years after the typical Batman Beyond chronology that we used to see. Hey Dale, just in time, join us. Justice League Unlimited Epilogue. Cue it up now. Alright, so we have Batman Beyond. We don't know who he is yet. He's breaking into high-tech security. Now, this is what's really nice about it. It's not only is this epilogue, but it really does wrap up so many things that they've been introducing throughout the entire, not only Justice League series, but the entire DCAU. What up, Alexis? Good to see you. Glad you are here. Alright, so now this shadowy figure. Now, the reason why... Now, if you've seen this before, you definitely know who this is. But his silhouette... And there's the first giveaway. He's got the Batarang right there, and we see an old Amanda Waller. Now, what... Ooh, give me... Uno momento. Just gotta plug something in. These live streams are definitely a drain on the old computer battery. But, alright, so now we have the opening. So, if you've been watching Justice League, if you've seen this episode before, you know who it is. But, from Batman Beyond, Terry McGinnis is a much skinnier guy. He has different hair, so the silhouette doesn't really scream Terry McGinnis. And they also didn't have too many indications that they were in the future. The tech and stuff could have just been upgraded tech taking place now in the modern time, but instead it's actually in the future. So that was a giveaway. So it was a fun little surprise there. And Amanda Waller, didn't know what happened to her. Batman Beyond doesn't touch a lot of the Justice League. We had the one episode of Justice League, but other than Superman, we get mostly new heroes. So the fate of Amanda Waller, we didn't find out until just now. Okay, let's go into this Justice League intro. This intro is a little bit of a departure with the little bit of the rock, a little more of an 80s feel to it, even though classical music is what everybody likes for DC. Okay, now the black and white scenes. Very important black and white scenes because there's actually a bit of contention about what these actually are. Now, some people have speculated, myself included, where I always viewed this as a flashback, where Terry was actually flashing back to what the conversation that led to him breaking down Amanda Waller's door. But it turns out, according to other interviews, this is actually just a hypothetical scenario. This is Terry running in his head what the conversation with Bruce would be like. And because he sees where it runs, he ends up just going to Amanda Waller because he figures it's a dead end if he goes to Bruce. So instead, what do you guys think? Do you think that those are flashbacks, or do you think they're just in his head of what he's thinking is going on? Hey, Ra, I have to do an episode for Spotify, but I'll email you my number. Call me as soon as we can to discuss it. Okay. All right, so back into the episode. Now, this is one of my favorite parts of dialogue is when characters talk about something that they're not really talking about, and we're about to see that coming up very shortly, which I like. I also think it's weird that Amanda Waller offers Terry green tea, and the tea is actually just regular brown tea, but whatever. Okay. And this does serve as a bit of a wake-up call. Terry realizing he might be going a little too harsh. Now, here's the other thing. Why have this scenario play out? If this is a hypothetical in his head, he is imagining himself breaking up with her yet again, even though they're not. So take it for what it is. I think it works either way, whether it is an actual flashback or if it's just hypothetical, him running out the scenario in his head. Either way. The biggest giveaway to why it seems a little off is that it's black and white, which is something we really don't see in the DCAU very often. So it's like, why is this in black and white? That gives us a little more credence to understanding, okay, so this has to be a hypothetical because we don't really, and it's also extremely letterboxed, so it's like, it's very different from what we normally see. So sure, that could indicate flashback, but because it's so unique, it seems odd. I remember this episode. I saw a cartoon when it came out. It was a real good one. All right, so here we come up to one of my favorite parts of writing when it comes to dialogue. Amanda Waller is talking about the tea set and all the different cups. Terry is talking about being his legacy tied with Bruce. Now, they're talking about two different things, but they really are talking about the same thing. If you listen to them, they're queuing each other up. I realized that if I was going to say if you should listen to them, maybe I should shut up and let you listen to them. Okay, so now we have another flashback or another hypothetical where we're seeing a new Parasite. A Parasite designed more closely to, I think there was a Parasite of the time. We got to see Ink. Ink is one of my favorite Batman Beyond characters. I always like getting to see Ink. And the Green Lantern, who's just a kid, which I think is actually a pretty cool touch. It's amazing how Terry aged so much, but Bruce hasn't. I don't know about that. Bruce gets is pretty up there by the end of the episode. All right. Okay, so here we go. All right. And this is a fun action sequence because since the last episode where we saw the Justice League in Batman Beyond, and also in the Justice League episode where they travel into the future, we don't get too much of the future League, because even in the once and future thing where they travel, and we got, so we show John Stewart's son. Sure, we did get him, but we didn't get other Green Lantern. We didn't get the Aqua Girl. We didn't get a lot of the other characters that were here. So it's nice kind of seeing this. And I also do like that they keep this trope going, because this is a minor trope that didn't get brought up a lot, and it actually doesn't get talked about pretty much at all anymore, is that Batman is never supposed to be a full-fledged member of the Justice League. A lot of people don't realize that. In the original Justice League series, they did mention how he's a part-timer, because even though he's in like just about every episode, but he has mentioned that he is a part timer or he's not really a part of the team. They do bring that up nowadays when we see Justice League in like the movies. Batman's just a member, but there was this thing that Batman's never really supposed to be a team player. He's not really supposed to be on the team. He's kind of on the team, but he's not really on the team, especially since he can't leave Gotham. He feels. Hey yo, Harry Flynn. And you know, I'm talking about the Batman Beyond series. Bruce looks the same, but Terry looks 10 years older in this episode. No, dude, look at Bruce right here. He is pretty old. He is much older looking than he was in the regular Batman Beyond series. And not only that, dude, when you get to once you get old, like, I feel like you don't really age too much. Like, you know, if you're like 15 years, yeah, when you're 20, that's a huge difference. You're going to age a lot. But when you're like 70 and then you get to 85, yeah, you're probably going to look pretty much the same. Like, there's not going to be much of a difference, I think. Anyway, so here we have the scenario playing out where either it's a flashback or it's a hypothetical. Again, tell me what you guys think. Where they're arguing and discussing the idea about Terry being a clone and how could it be. Because what also makes more sense here is that Terry he believes Bruce did it. He believes this is Bruce's doing, even though it really isn't. And Bruce, in typical fashion, isn't really dispelling it, but he's telling him, like, hey, it's not true, but he doesn't really care that he thinks it either. However, this does raise the question, and I know they broach upon this more in the comic books and the Batman Beyond comic books that came out after the fact, but this is really a major focal point for this episode, because the question is, does Bruce know that Terry's his biological son? No one ever mentions. Ron Hawthorne has... his grandmother is 102. Awesome. Still looks the same as, like, yeah, your whole life. That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah. I know a guy who's 80 now, and he always, and ever since I met him, he always looked the same. Okay, I didn't realize he does have, yeah, like the hair thing, yeah, but yeah, in 15 years, yeah, he got up there. He got up there because, like, I think here Bruce is supposed to be like 100 years old at this point, which is pretty crazy, the idea, and they also they do that. Bruce just, as Bruce even said in an earlier episode, that he's just amazing he lives so long. Okay, so this is also kind of cold. So if this was a flashback, we see that Terry doesn't even help him with his pills. Now, yeah, Bruce is more than capable, but it does seem a little cold. Also, I do want to point out that they always talk about the near apocalypse of '09 in this series. It's like a running thing they always talk about. We never find out what that is. I always wish we got a direct-to-DVD movie where they did the near apocalypse of '09 and 2009. I always thought that would have been cool, and if they explained what it was. They have gone into a little bit where they've talked about it, and again in the comic books, but still, it's one of those things that I always wish they delivered on. How old was Batman in Kingdom Come? Good question. Don't know off the top of my head. Hey, Tim Castillo, thank you for joining us. If you are interested, we are currently at the 9 minutes and 55 second mark of Epilogue Batman of Justice League. I keep wanting to call it a Batman Beyond episode, but it's a Justice League episode. Anyway, so good to see you. All right, and another thing that's really cool about this is the way they flash, the transitions. We just saw the pills here, and then we just cut to Amanda Waller's pills. Before, when Amanda Waller was saying her set was ruined, cut back to the Parasite saying. So, really cool transitions. They do a lot of cool things like this. This episode is really well made, and putting it on there, just like all the episodes, but this one particularly well made. So here we have a flashback. See, and here's the other key. This is an actual flashback where we're cutting back to the Justice League. This is in color. This is not letterbox. So this is the other segue to say those letterbox black and white scenes probably are hypotheticals, because why do they look so different from flashbacks? When here we see what an actual flashback looks like. Anyway, this scene was actually not originally a part of the episode, and Bruce Timm said this was too stacked. We have too much. There's no room for it. Dwayne McDuffie, the great Dwayne McDuffie, pitched this scene and said here he has a scene and he thinks it ties the episode together and was a really necessary part. And I agree it was. And when he pitched it to Bruce Timm said, all right, we have to put it in now. So they had to clear out a lot of room just to put the sequence in. But this, and keep in mind, this scene isn't small. If I'm not mistaken, I believe there's an act break in the middle of it. So this is a big chunk of the episode. So just imagine what got cut as a result of this. Anyway, Dale Stanford, Kingdom Come Batman was wearing a Darth Vader suit, so we can say like yeah, okay, so on both books, yeah, Yeah, I'm not sure off the top of my head. And here we have a flashback to Amanda Waller, much younger Amanda Waller. And also, since this is a Justice League scene, it is nice that we have other members of the Justice League here. And we see a little bit more about the future of the Justice League, where Dr. Light's a part of it, Red Tornado. And again, because of the ambiguity of this particular time frame, oh, and Stargirl, and Shaira. Because of the time frame here, we don't really know when exactly this took place. Now, we know it's after Amanda Waller and the Justice League started becoming more of close-knit together. As Amanda Waller says, they aren't always, they are friends now, or they become allies, but there was a period of time where they hate each other. But here we know this is after they became allies. A little bit of an interesting side note. Now, back in the day, for all you Zack Snyder fans, you might find this, you might not care about this, but back in the day, DC had a very strict rule when it comes to dispatching your enemies, shall we say. DC, for a long time, most of the characters, the vast majority of heroes, if you were good, you never went lethal. You always avoided that, for the most part. Very few heroes did. It's not like Marvel, where Wolverine, do what Punisher does whatever they want. They're still heroes. But in Justice League, but in DC, once upon a time, it was a big no-no. Batman's one rule. It was actually a lot of the League's one rule. Like Superman never would, and everything. But you Zack Snyder people, I understand, think that's okay. Anyhow, this is harkening back to Shaira having to take care of Solomon Grundy, because it was her mace was the one thing that could get rid of him, and she had to do that. So when Shaira goes for it, it's because she's already done it, and that's what she didn't want it. She wanted no one else to take that burden on her. But Batman, on the other hand, if you remember the episode, the Solomon Grundy episode, that's what it's tied back to. But anyway, Batman says he'll do it, but as we've about to find out, he never intended to. And there was that act break I talked about. Nico Montoya, a Justice League with Dr. Light and Stargirl just seems weird. It does, but remember, this is Justice League Unlimited. So this wasn't just the core 7, this was Unlimited. All the Justice League heroes, all the heroes of the DC universe, of the animated universe, were in the Justice League for the most part. So it was no big deal. They're not primary players or anything, but, you just come and take them. They were kind of like the Defenders, which they did reference a lot in the Justice League. Marvel Defenders, before they were on Netflix, they went through several iterations. The most popular one is Doctor Strange, Silver Surfer, Hulk, and Ghost Rider at some points in time. Namor. Doctor Strange, Namor, Hulk, Silver Surfer. Sorry, that's what I meant to say. But there was a brief iteration where Doctor Strange, the Defenders became this team that Doctor Strange, they were any Marvel superhero. Like, whoever he needed for that particular mission, he would just draft them, and they would be in for that issue. There was a very brief period of time, but that was actually my favorite version of the Defenders. You heard Cassie Ono was added to the alumni roster page. I did not. Interesting to hear. So this is definitely the sweetest. This is like a very sweet moment, and it's a surprisingly sweet moment from Batman, as we know. As we see, Ace is very upset about this. Now, this is a character that they really, like, she is a big character, and I liked what they did to her. You don't get her much, but when we see her, she does count. First introduced, and plus, another part of the Royal Flush Gang that I liked was, when we see the Royal Flush Gang first in Batman now in all the DCAU, the first time we see the Royal Flush Gang is in Batman Beyond. And they talk about how they're old villains of Batman, but in the Batman animated series, we never saw them fight them at all. So it was Justice League that introduced them, see where that legacy comes from. And they even give a little bit of a backdoor where Amanda Waller says it was like the second or third iteration, who could keep it all together, just so if they want, they had the freedom to tell other stories with the Royal Flush Gang if they needed to. But Defenders at one point had nothing. Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. And Montoya, that is true. But I said my favorite one was when Doctor Strange just recruited whoever he needed. Grundy, Aquaman, Dr. Fate, and Hawkgirl was a tribute to Defenders, absolutely. And don't forget about Amazo the robot, Amazo the android, who was referencing Silver Surfer. He was their version of Silver Surfer. Mortal Kombat vs. DC, it was not let this is heroes. Yeah, that's right, Dale. That is absolutely correct. That's right. No fatalities in the DC Mortal Kombat, because they didn't want the heroes doing that, because the heroes don't do that. That's right. Remember, once upon a time, DC had that one rule. Broken on very rare occasion. So that's what this is referencing. And now we tie it together. So that's the reality of it. Batman, when you learn more about Batman, you learn that he cares more than he lets on. And Amanda Waller sums him up perfectly here. And especially since Batman was the character that started this whole thing, Amanda Waller's really laying it in. And That's what makes it truly fascinating, because that was probably the best scene to demonstrate that. And I think Batman's soft side is something you can touch upon every once in a while, but for the most part, you don't want to overdo it because it kind of takes away from it. So, with this episode being called Epilogue, even though they did leave a few back doors and they did have another season afterwards, if you're gonna have an epilogue, and that's the time to really pull the trigger with it, and having that scene with Ace where he says he's gonna use the weapon but has no intention and is just gonna sit there with her because he sympathizes with her, really was one of the best possible ways to demonstrate it. So you saved that gem for when you needed it, and they did it very well. And then here's Amanda Waller dropping some more knowledge on Terry, letting him know that the whole process, well, we're about to find. Also, that weird joke about Bruce leaving his DNA all over time, I have to admit, was a very odd one. Okay, so here we have Amanda Waller, obviously aged from the flashback, so we know this is somewhere in between that flashback and the future time of 65 years later. Yeah. Hey, AJ Envoy. Yeah, so this weird DNA joke. And that guy looks like Jordan Price from the Return of the Joker movie, which I don't know if that was intentional or not. But yeah, that weird joke about his DNA over time. I don't know why they threw that in there. Okay, and here we have Terry's parents, young Terry's parents. We don't really see them very often. Now, there is some speculation that, if you notice, Terry's father has red hair when he's younger. Terry's mother has red hair. The belief here is the giveaway that this was always intended to be the reveal about Terry. He was always supposed to be Bruce's biological son through this weird measure. But the idea is supposed to be that two redheaded people cannot genetically produce a black-haired son. And so there has been theory and speculation, as I mentioned in another video on this channel, is that Terry's father and mother divorced because he suspected her of infidelity. When Terry was born, he just kind of let it go. But then when their second son was born, Max, who is also genetically a biological son of Bruce, both of them had black hair. He just goes, that's it, I'm out. And that's speculated to be why they got a divorce. Because as you can see, doesn't look the same. And as Terry has mentioned, it didn't matter to Warren McGinnis. He always treated Terry like a son no matter what, even though, as we found out, technically not. Now, this is an interesting choice. It doesn't really make sense here. So the idea was that Amanda was going to clone to recreate Batman's origin, which is something I like, the idea of recreating an origin. But anyway, it's the Phantasm. Why is it the Phantasm? There's really no logical reason, because why would she pick an assassin who has it really been all that active in the years since that is in a lot of years, and one who knows who Bruce is and is definitely going to tell you, I'm not doing this. Like, this setup only works if, like, why didn't she hire, we haven't seen it in the DCAU, but why didn't she hire Slade? Or why didn't she hire any other mercenary that definitely would have taken care of Terry's parents and recreated the origin? She chose someone who could talk about, but whatever. Since it's the finale, or the epilogue supposed to be last episode, it's just a good excuse to get the Phantasm in there. Why not? AJ voice says, Dave, were you a fan of the Netflix Marvel shows, stuff like Luke Cage, Iron Fist? Well, we watched Punisher not that long ago, and yes, I was. Certain episodes, certain shows for sure. Iron Fist, was anybody a fan of Iron Fist? But some of them, yes. But I'll admit that I like the 2005 Defenders written by, very good, Inigo Montoya. Daredevil was like, on. Like, parts of it I liked and parts of it I didn't. Like, season 2 I thought was great, but season 2 was just all the Punisher. And as soon as the Punisher stuff was gone, I didn't care anymore. Season 1 was just alright. Season 3 I liked a lot, though. Jessica Jones, I love the first season. Second season was garbage. Third season was okay. Luke Cage, first half of the first season, awesome. Second half, terrible. Muy terrible. But I've talked about this before. Okay, so now here we go. And now, finally, the wrap-up. Amanda Waller telling him that he is not there's no curse of Batman. He's just a son. He's not a clone. He's not a carbon copy. He's just like any other kid. Some things he has in common with the old man. Some things he doesn't. But ultimately, the failing for this is, or the failing of Bruce, as she points out, is that Bruce, for everything he could do, and as much as he cares, he never let anyone get in. So she wants to point out, you could be the stoic type, push everybody away, make this a scenario like he in his head he's breaking up with his girlfriend for the last time. In his head he was for sure for that hypothetical scene or flashback scene, but he's thinking about it and realizes that is exactly what happened to Bruce, and it's okay. You don't have to let this be a curse. Kind of like what the X-Men always say. The power can be a curse or a gift. It's up to you. So now he's ready, finally, after dating his high school girlfriend for like 1 billion years, despite that little breakup they had where he dated 10, who, I actually like better, but that's just me. Anyway, he's, as you can see, he's ready to propose and, have a happily ever after. Dana's a cool character. I like Dana. She puts up with it a lot, but I have to admit, she's always kind of whiny. You ever like you ever feel that she was always like nagging him on stuff like, dude's got a job. She doesn't know he's Batman, but still she knows he got a job. Like, Cuddle's got a little bit of slack. I also think it's weird how much work superhero needs. Like from 3 o'clock in the afternoon all the way to like 3 a.m. Like Batman, it's got to be this kid like 12 hours of work. What city is this? Garth Ennis Punisher. Are you a fan, Dave? Yeah, yeah. I would say yeah. David Tennant was amazing. Oh, dude, he was amazing. Purple Man. Yeah, that was a great character. Dave, I've been meaning to ask you, will you be getting back to your drawings? You used to do it months ago. I'm not sure if we're coming. The reason I did is because the apparatus I had to hold the camera for the draw-alongs, I don't have it anymore. It was at my former job. We couldn't find it. And there we have to wrap up. Oh yeah, we'll talk about that. And I couldn't, and it just disappeared one day, and I've never been able to find it again or recreate it or get another one. I'm definitely not spending any money now. Okay, so here, if you're eagle-eyed enough, you're gonna notice something very special about this. That right here, this last scene is a complete callback to the very first scene of Batman the Animated Series. So the first episode of the first series that started it all, the first shot, the first scene, they just repeated it, but with Batman Beyond at the very end. So that way, it's a total bookend, which I thought was a really cool touch. I really liked that a lot. Here we have the end credits, and we have these flashes of other episodes. I don't know why. If it's like Epilogue, they could have just closed it off. They didn't need this. I don't know why they did this, but whatever. But yeah, so all right, so that is Justice League Unlimited, my favorite episode of all time. Thank you for watching it with me, guys. So for the draw-alongs, I don't have the apparatus I use to hold the camera, because the camera I have isn't like a lot of normal webcams where they actually have a screw mount. There's no screw there. It has to take a specific apparatus to hold it. So I don't have that anymore. I'm not opposed to it, especially since I guess I have the time. I mean, I'll be fair. I haven't really been thinking very much about it, but I do. I have thought about it. I'm still trying to set up because I don't know if you guys, I don't know if you guys care or not, but I mean, definitely taking a lot of hits. So one after the other, because the program I used for editing episodes, I actually got through my job. I was actually through my former job is where I was doing a lot of editing and creating. Now I stockpiled, I filmed a whole bunch, I edited a whole bunch and put them out. That's what episode you saw today on the wrestling channel. But now that program, I no longer have access to that program through the job. So, and it's expensive. So I figured something out for now. We'll see how it goes, but I have to figure that out. I mean, thank you. First of all, I got to say thank you for all the super chats and the generosity from you guys. In Patreon, as well as just viewing the videos and just making sure watch the ads. Then the thumbs up that help promote the channel. Not so much this channel, but the wrestling channel, the one that's monetized. Then this one, and being subscribed here, so I can get up to maybe monetizing this channel, which would be awesome. As well as the other things. So that keeps it afloat, because financially it'd be very hard to justify if it wasn't for all your support. If it wasn't for you guys, it'd be really hard to justify getting that program out. And then, like, what would I do at that point in time? But either way, studio-wise, I no longer have a place to film. So I've been trying to figure out a way to film here. I'm still working on it. Still trying to figure out. I still got. So there was this week's episode, next week's episode for Wrestling Channel. Still ready to go. It's still going to be coming out. But yeah. But after that, really don't know what's going to happen. Still working on it. Still trying to figure out what to do. It's a rough road, but the video editing software, I'm pretty sure I can get. I'm pretty sure we're going to do that, just because that should be, for the most part, taken care of. Especially since my former coworker, we decided that we would. Well, yeah, it doesn't matter, but we decided we're trying to work something out. So that was the thing. The Garth Ennis run for Punisher, I love the look of him. I like the way he looked in that book. But yeah, so that was a big case. So AJ Alfo says, Dave, they say most Americans don't have $1,000 saved as emergency funds. Yeah, well, yeah, that's so. AJ Alfo, you're not from America? I always thought you were. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I gotta love this. Gotta love, no, never mind, I'm not getting into it, but yeah, he was the best Netflix Marvel villain, or was it Vincent D'Onofrio? to me, it's definitely the Purple Man, but Kingpin was pretty good too. You know, the other weird part is, for some reason, I don't think of Vincent D'Onofrio as like a big dude. I don't know why I don't. Especially with him being, Gomer Pyle and, Full Metal Jacket and all that like that, where he was pitched as a big dude. For some reason, I just don't, like, when he was wearing a kicksuit, I'm like, oh wow, that makes more sense, like, visually than I thought. It's just, in my head, he just doesn't come across as a big guy. For whatever reason. But yeah. Yeah. But so anyway, yeah, still trying to figure things out. Also, yeah, it's lazy. Like I'm not getting used to this. So like my normal schedule of work, or pushing things out next episodes and all that, I'm definitely falling behind on. Um, Trying to figure, just trying to get used to it, trying to figure out what I'm going to do from here on out. And plus, if things end, anytime soon, if everything goes back to normal, or at least kind of normal, then things might get a little bit better for me, or it might be a little bit easier. But who knows? Uh, Plus, I'm also trying to say, I'm like, try to see if I can find any work remotely, which hasn't been working out so much. Um, Neither has the unemployment thing, but whatever. Having issues with that, but if I work remotely, depending how demanding that is, I might not have to be able to do whatever. A big part of how the channels were being able to go was just because I was able to do a lot of it at work. Part of it was my job, like I was able to do it there, and that helped. But the same thing why when this channel I stopped doing a lot of edited videos or produced videos was because I didn't have the time anymore. I had to get a second job because of that thing. So things eating up a lot of my time. Rambo Last One made me want to see a Rambo Punisher crossover. I have not seen a Rambo since the first one. Do you think Zack Ryder will go to AEW? Well, Harry Flynn, Cody Rhodes really wants him to go there. Last I checked, so I hope so. In that case, I do wish he had a feud with Robbie E, but that apparently never happened. Anyway, yeah. So, but yeah. So every bit here, you subscribe, watch along with me. Make this a little easier. And by the way, guys, if you have any suggestions of something else you want to watch along with me, please let me know in the comments of this video. Let me know on the Twitter machine. Yeah, because it'll be a lot of fun. Definitely enjoying myself. Trying not to go too insane. I promise nothing. But anyway, thank you for being here. Thank you for all the support. And as always, guys, Dave knows.